Hi, Julie here from Copy What I Use for Revision, and in today's video I thought I'd cover a mini review because a lot of you have actually been viewing my review of Dr. Chan's GCSE Total Recall System, and thank you for that. I've actually got now over 1,000 people who have viewed it and have put lots of likes. I'm really grateful to you for taking the time to actually pop a like on there and to watch it. So I thought what I would do today, with so many people affected by the coronavirus, and apologies, that's why I haven't made many videos lately, because with the school closures etc, it's been a bit manic. So I thought today, with more and more parents having to help their children with homeschooling, and probably some of you still doing revision, I thought I'd actually do a little mini review and focus on one of the particular memory systems that actually show in this booklet, because as those of you who follow me will know, I'm very, very passionate about sharing alternative ways of learning, and I've put in storing facts into the long-term memory, because revision and learning does not have to be tedious, and it doesn't have to follow the norm. There are much more fun ways that you can actually retain information, and it can actually be fun for all the families. So if you've actually got parents in lockdown as well, or self-isolation, this is a brilliant tool as well to keep your parents' memory in sync, because my mum, she's nearly 80, and she actually uses these memory techniques, and she actually loves learning facts using these sort of memory techniques. So you can actually use it from any age. That's a great thing. I mean, it says about GCSE, but trust me, it's not just for GCSE. It can be from any age, from 5 up to 95. Okay, so without further ado, the one we're going to focus on today is Dr. Chan's sequential story linking system. Okay, so if I pop over there, because I'm actually going to read an example to you, because as you know, I normally do my own examples, but I thought I'd use one of Dr. Chan's today so that I could get a nice quick video out to you to keep you all sane, those of you who are homeschooling your children. Okay, so if you remember, those of you who follow my video will know that it's all about making stories and attaching images to boring lists of facts and things, because it makes it a lot easier to remember. So for this example, we're actually going to look at it in the moons of Jupiter on the other video. On this one, we can actually focus on the Wall Street stock market crash, which was actually in 1929. So it's a little bit ironic that I've picked this example. I picked it purely by chance as it happened, with what's happening with the stock exchange at the moment. Okay, so basically, what Dr. Chan does, if you can actually see there's a long text of information. I'll start to read it out, but I mean, it's pretty boring to read. When the Wall Street stock market crashed in October 1929, the world economy was plunged into the Great Depression. Doesn't that sound familiar? By the winter of 1932, America was in the depths of the greatest economic depression in its history. Okay, so that's just the first paragraph. So what he says to do initially is to extract the facts that you think are the key facts to remember. Okay, and in this instance, he's actually done bullet points, and he's put on there that it was a stock market crash. It happened in 1929. The world was plunged into a Great Depression. There were 13 million people unemployed. Many people were hungry and lived in primitive conditions, with one family even moving into a cave. Imagine that. In St. Louis, 1,000 people lived in shacks made from scrap metal and boxes. These were called Hoovervilles. That sounds familiar from when my daughter was in Annie musical. 2 million people travelled the country looking for work, and signs saying no men wanted were displayed. So how Dr. Chan remembers these bullet points then is like this. He uses a portal. Now when you get the book for Dr. Chan, you'll realize a portal is just something that allows you to get into the subject. He explains it in more depth in the book. But the subject will of course be triggered by the examination questions or whatever you're actually covering. So, excuse me, it's not coronavirus, it's hay fever. So this is how he codes it up. He's got that the wall crashes into the street, and bricks and dust are flying everywhere. Lots of shops have shattered windows, and there's stock falling into the street. Stock market crash. People are coughing and spluttering with the dust, just like I sort of did then, and dust is flying everywhere. Lots of shops have shattered windows, and this stock is falling out into the street. Okay, so that was the stock market crash. Then there are people coughing and spluttering with the dust. Suddenly wine starts to pour out of a pipe sticking out from the building. Wouldn't that be nice? And people rush together underneath it and drink from this fountain. The idea here is plenty of wine rhymes with 29. So those who follow my videos will also notice that I actually use rhymes to make numbers easier to remember. Because, which was the one, 61 was sticky bun, remember, on one of my videos. You already know the century, otherwise you shouldn't be studying history. So this gives us our date of 1929, okay? So that's plenty of wine, 29, so we know it's 1929. And the dates are quite difficult to code up, and this rhyming method is a well-known one. The entire street is rammed with people trying to get at this wine. The flow stops and then everyone suddenly looks very depressed and shuffles around. This is the Great Depression. Out of nowhere, each one suddenly has in their hand a sign with the number 13 on it. They sit around in the street listlessly doing nothing other than holding their signs. So what do you think the 13 is on the sign? It's the 13 million people are unemployed. Now, is it easier to remember the 13 million people are unemployed, boring fact, or is it easier to remember suddenly out of nowhere there are the people there with a sign in their hand with the number 13 on it? Okay, 13 million people unemployed. After a while, one family gets up from sitting around and starts poking around in bins looking for scraps of food. They look ragged and destitute. They leave they leave the street and town and find a cave in which they live. The cave is next to a large shanty town made of corrugated iron sheets and boxes. Strangely, lots of people are hoovering in between the boxes. I think you know where we're going with this one. Hoovervilles. Into the shanty town comes a black trumpet player with a halo over his head. I use Louis Armstrong as my image. I mean, obviously those of you who are sort of younger, I know Louis Armstrong is the younger ones of you might not remember, so you might want to think of something else that will actually make you think of St. Louis. This might be a bit old school for you, there we are, in which case you would have to find a more recent famous Louis. I mean, it might be Louis from One Direction, I don't know, King Louis, whatever Louis sort of makes you think of St. Louis. Suddenly all the people leave the shanty town and go on a giant march, their numbers swelling incredibly. They hold up one hand with two fingers outstretched. This is our 2 million people. They hit a huge barrier with the words "men not wanted" on it. And he then goes on to say, I want you now to walk through that sequence in your own mind and code it up for yourself. When you've done that, close your eyes and mentally walk through the storyline. Now take a 5-minute break, or actually however long you want, and then when you come back in an hour or so, having only coded that up and rehearsed it only once, you will be able to write down the key facts of the Wall Street crash from that paragraph. Okay, so if you find your position, it's not a great position we all find ourselves in at the moment. We're stuck in a possible lockdown here in the UK, as with many countries all over the world. We really are all in this together. We've got to homeschool our children, we've got to keep them motivated with education, or else they're going to switch off. So my thoughts are this with you, that this, at the time of me making this video, this actual book cost $19.95 plus a bit of postage and packaging, but honestly it will be worth your investment, because it will actually keep many hours of home studying a lot saner. Because what you can do is actually get your children to make up their own stories, write down a keyword, and I mean, even if you've got very younger children, all you've got to do is involve them, because it really is a case of learning facts by making up a fun story. And the more out there your images are, and the more out there your story is, guess what? They're going to remember, and you're going to remember that information a whole lot longer. And the other big, huge factor is the fact that it actually stores it into your long-term memory. So with a little bit of practice in here and there, you will remember that forever. Because again, those of you who follow my videos will know I still remember the first decimal number of pi, the 10 numbers, almost 10 years later, by doing just this, attaching a story and images to boring numbers. Okay, so as ever, for a point of transparency, I'll just let you know that if you actually click on any of my links in this video, there is a chance I could get paid an affiliate commission. But rest assured, you won't pay any more whatsoever for the product, and my opinions are not based whatsoever on commissions. They're based on the fact that I've used any product I promote, and I actually have found them very useful, otherwise I would not promote them at all. Okay, so there is a chance, but as I say, it won't cost you any more. Any payments that are eligible will be paid direct by the product owner to myself. So I'll pop a link at the bottom to this particular manual. I'd like to add as well that there is a 30-day, no quibble, full money back guarantee, so there's absolutely nothing to lose and everything to gain, and a whole lot of fun during lockdown and during homeschooling. Finally, like to say, hope everybody keeps safe. It's a very, very worrying time for us all. None of us are immune from it, and none of us know what the future holds. but I think if we all hold tight together and we all support each other, we will get through this together and come out the other side stronger. Okay, keep safe everyone, and I'll make another video real soon.